Hi, welcome to episode 2 of Insomniac City Productions, True Stories to Tell in the Dark. Compilation of stories I've found online, various sources and different mediums. All these stories are allegedly true and you can make of it what you want. So without further ado, let's get started. Enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, and tell a friend. I work in a prison. We had an officer who pulled midnight rover duty. Essentially, he patrolled block to neighboring block every half hour. A side note, we have 8 housing units, 4 blocks, 2 sides. So Alpha Block 1 and 2, Baker Block 1 and 2, and his job was Alpha Block only. Around 4 a.m. he made his way to A1 and realized the inmate who had been using the bathroom a half hour ago was still in the same position. He called his name, rattled the gate, then called the code after no response. The inmate had hung himself using a pair of shoelaces tied to the air vent grate above the toilet. He was probably dead on first patrol and then was discovered around the second. The officer was cleared of any dereliction of duty, thankfully. The weirdest part was dealing with the inmates from his block the next day. They were locked down for investigation, and by the evening they were cleared to go to rec, all still stunned at the loss. The inmate was well-liked, well-mannered, an old Italian guy. His family visited him religiously, and he adored his grandkids. But I guess when you're deciding you're gonna go, you don't really want to advertise it. Our officer was pretty fucked up, as you can imagine. He admitted to having nightmares, anxiety over the possibility of not being cleared, even though he was. It was hard to watch this outgoing, confident, happy guy retreat back into himself. He's much, much better now, luckily. But I'm sure that incident didn't disappear from his memory. I know mine certainly hasn't from the experiences I've had. But that's another story. For another time. Watch your 6. Get home safe. From your fellow sister officer. A terrifying but true experience that happened when I was 12. I moved to my dad's when I was 10 and didn't know anyone in the area except for a family my dad was friends with. Single mom with 3 kids. Luckily there was a girl a couple years older than me. We'll call her Lucy for the sake of this story. We got to know each other a little over the next couple years. We weren't close, but ended up having the same friends. One night my friend Rob was hanging out with her and her younger brother. They happened to be in the house alone because Lucy's mom was at work. This is where things got terrifying and sad. Her mom had been helping this one lady through her work and got to know her fairly well. She found out that her sister was in a mental institution and was let out fairly recently. The night Rob was hanging out with Lucy, they got a knock on the door. Lucy expected it to be her mom, just answered it without thinking. Rob wasn't supposed to be there, so he took off out the window and to his house down the road. He never looked back. Turns out the person at the door wasn't Lucy's mom, but the sister of the lady her mom was helping. Somehow this woman had figured out where Lucy lived and Lucy's mom's schedule. She came into the house, and this is where I don't know the details, and frankly, I'm glad I don't. Lucy's younger brother managed to run to the neighbors to call the police because this lady brutally murdered my friend a week from Christmas. She was decapitated with her head hidden. Her body was left naked in the bathtub. Apparently, the police looked through the presents for Lucy's head I don't know where they ended up finding it, but they did. I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral. Poor Lucy was only 14. I was teaching English in China. Feels like ages ago, really. I found a unique job offer combining my love of the outdoors with conversational English. A job which was more suited for me rather than teaching in the gray city. I couldn't have been more excited. My boyfriend and I applied, and were immediately hired. They would pick us up in a van, drive us into the mountains, where we would stay in a cabin. What could go wrong? When we got in the van, the driver was piss drunk. I was young and stupid, and thought I could just bust it next time, so I tried my best not to envision us driving off the mountain roads. There were 2 other foreigners, our new boss and his buddy. Boss and buddy spent the time joking around and laughing with each other in Cantonese. I tried to get my mind off the driver by making small chat with the 2 other foreigners, who seemed uncomfortable as well. When we reached the little mountain town, we were told that we needed to get passport photos for our ID. We paid. Felt kind of scammy, but I shrugged it off. And I asked to use the washroom, but there was none. I had to walk down the street with my boyfriend until we found one. When we went back to the passport shop, everyone was gone. We panicked a bit and texted our boss. He told us that he would be back to get us at 1 a.m. It was 6 p.m. As we stood there on the side of the street, already feeling the cold, one of the guys we had met on the bus ran up. I was so relieved to see him. I asked him where our other new friend was. He had been abandoned as well and had already hopped on the bus to get out of there. My new friend told me that he spoke Cantonese. He said that these guys were bad news. They had been talking and laughing about their new plans for me. Couldn't get him to explain any more than that. He just wanted to tell me. The problem was, our bags were still in the van. I sent a message saying that we could wait until 1, but I had medication in my bag that I needed to take now, so we needed our bags. Drunk guys show up. He looked completely bewildered as we grabbed our bags. Our new friend helped us on the right bus back to the city. He was so awesome. I thanked him profusely. They kept messaging me for a while, asking what happened, telling me they still wanted me to work for them. Never messaged my boyfriend. I never responded. Wonder what their plans were. But I don't like to think about it. If that guy hadn't warned us, we would have stuck around. Thanks again. This happened to my wife's grandmother in South Texas about 15 years ago while we were still dating. We'll call her Mary for the sake of this story. Mary's husband had just passed away about a year previous, but she had been going down to the library and volunteering, exercise and socialization. This was winter, so her walk back would get pretty dark. The library closed at 5, and then there was usually some extra stuff everyone had to do before actually leaving. On this particular night, she turned down a ride from another volunteer because she wanted to try to stay in shape. The house is about a mile away through some lightly wooded area. As Mary is about halfway home, she notices someone behind her. He's walking in the same direction as she is and gaining on her. In itself, it's not that suspicious, as she's old and not particularly fast. But in this case, the man seemed vaguely sinister. She keeps walking. Pretty soon he's right behind her. Then he falls into place, staying just behind her. Alarm bells go off in Mary's head, and she immediately feels that something's up. She's almost home and can see the top of her driveway coming, as she leaves her lights on so it'll look like someone's home. She just needs to make it another 150 yards. All that time, she said he was so close that she could feel his breath on her neck. Maybe 50 yards away, the man places a strong hand on her shoulder and says, "Okay, bitch. Don't turn around. Hand over your purse, or I'll fucking cut ya." She stops for a second, then takes one big step forward, turns around, and shoots the guy in the neck with the .38 she keeps stashed in her purse. Some Wild West shit, but hey, it's Texas. The guy spent the next 5 years in a prison hospital before he died of complications. Mary passed last year. Up to the end, she lamented that she'd pulled the trigger too soon. My husband would have been so embarrassed had he known I missed the kill shot. Something really strange and frightening happened one night back in 2005, during the summer. I'm not exaggerating, I don't drink or do drugs. It was around 8 or 8:30 at night. My mom was serving dinner. My dad was a security guard at the time and was at work. My mom asked me to go to the car and get a bottle of soda since we kept our leaders there. I was reluctant at first because the last 2 days in a row, when I went out to the car, the front door wouldn't open when I came back, and no one had locked it. My mom and I believed the house was haunted. I asked my brother Aaron to go to the car with me, afraid the door would lock and leave me stranded outside again. Aaron agreed and we ventured out to the car together, grabbed the soda, and hightailed it back to the front door. Just as I feared, I tried the door and it wouldn't open. The knob would turn, but the door wouldn't budge. I knocked. "It's not locked," I heard my mom say from the kitchen. She walked over to the door and tried to open it. Stuck shut. She called my other brother and dad over. They had no luck. My mom then instructed us to go around back and use the patio door. Aaron was already ahead, but not too far. As he walked away from the door, we heard a low growl that froze us in our tracks. We looked around, half expecting to see a stray dog or coyote, but we didn't see anything. As I walked to catch up with Aaron, the growl came again. It sounded nearby, but still we saw nothing around us in the dark front yard. Then again the low, deep growl. Officially freaked out, we ran around the side of the house towards the back. That's when I heard something heavy jump on the car and then a loud thud onto the roof. Our house was only 1 story. We got to the patio door. You guessed it. It wouldn't budge. We banged frantically on the patio door, looking around for what was making the sounds. My mom came to the door and told us she had heard a heavy sound on the roof. It washed away the doubts I still had. I was imagining things and drowned me in terror. Begged her to unlock the patio door. She glanced at the lock and again said, "It isn't locked." I tried again, hoping whatever was out there was gone, but the door refused to move. We heard movement on the roof. Aaron and I were tugging on the patio door with all our might. Mom tried helping from the inside. Then my dogs ran to the patio door and started barking in the direction of the roof, pacing back and forth. Aaron, in a panic, thought it was a good idea to run to the shed for shelter. The dogs snarling weren't any consolation. Told Aaron to stay calm and against the wall. More rustling on the roof. Freaked out with his voice shaking, he told me again that the shed was our best bet. I firmly disagreed with him, once more explaining that if this thing could jump from the car to the roof, there is no doubt it could jump from the roof and get us before we reach the shed. Meanwhile, inside the house, the rest of our family was still trying to get the door open, and the dogs were still in a frenzy at the patio door. Aaron then decides it would be a bright idea to make a break for it. He says we should go on 3. "No," I said sternly. He completely ignored me. 3, 2, 1, go! Aaron books it towards a shed, and right then is when I heard the patio door fly open. The dogs immediately run out to Aaron and begin growling and barking at the roof. Aaron, the dogs, and I quickly make it back into the house and never did see what it was. To this day, it's still unexplainable, and I have no idea what was on my roof.